Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another installment of the Road to LGT here at Contact Lost. I'm your host, Joker, and today with me are the Vanguard Tactics Butter Bros. So please welcome Dom.
Hey, everyone.
And Kyle.
How do?
Hey, guys. Very happy to have you here. So, what's your mood ahead of the big tournament?
Excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for the main event. Not so much for my first round pairing of the Invitational on the Friday. But
we're already going into that, are we?
We don't have to. I'm just saying you asked the question, and I was just like, well, this is my reaction. So there you go.
Okay, but to finish up the introductions and the presentation of our guests here, I think I owe it to you guys to say that, Kyle, you're currently #1 ITC Tau player.
From last season, yes. I'm currently, as it stands, fourth in the world rankings this season. Plan to be first, don't you worry. And first in the UK. So, reigning Tau champion, I'm going to defend my title.
So if you score big, you're at the LGT, you're going to first place, or would that not be enough still?
Well, I think it will. I think there's about 90 to 100 points in it between me and top place, so we're all very close together. But my plan is to get a good standing in LGT, a few more majors, and then off to LBO. So all is to play for. All is to play for. I'll be bringing the greater good to America.
Okay. And Dom, how about you? How are you faring? Because I'm sorry, but I haven't followed the standings recently, so maybe you can share a bit of light.
Well, usually I'm just fighting for like the #1 Drakari, but this year I tried to be a bit more dynamic, and I jumped around with Harlequins, won a few tournaments with them, and then now I'm jumping on the Chaos bandwagon. Even though they're one of my original armies, and I have loads of them. I have to repaint them all because they're all painted the one of the worst legions, Night Lords. Sorry, Michael Costello. But like they're just not as good as Bile, so I just had to like put purple on everything. But yeah, so now I started the year off with Drakari. Then I sacrificed my chasing of being #1 this year because I got it last year. In I think it was Europe I got #1 in, and I finished up last year at 23rd in the world of all armies, which was a lot better than I thought I'd do. But yeah, so I sacrificed a single faction just to try and like diversify myself a bit. And I know Harlequins isn't really diversifying yourself. It kind of changes. You go from like a combat army to a shooty army. And then now I've gone back to my roots with Chaos, and they're just pure combat and pressure. So they kind of just play like fat elves. So yeah, so I've gone with the Chaos. Which I'm super happy about because I feel like they play how Chaos should play. So other than that, I'm just trying to chase the UKTC top 10 ranking, which right now I think I'm still top 10, but I will be chasing that for the whole LGT. I've got a filthy Chaos list for the main event, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay,
I think I'm just behind you, Dom. I think I'm 12th, and I've got a filthy Tau list. Let's bring it on.
I was gonna say that a good combat pressure lists are what we like, and shooting is for wimps. But we've got a Tau player here, so
it's all right. That's why I'm creating. and my next time is Leagues of Votan, right? I get the best of both worlds. I get Tau with Wolfen, right?
Oh God.
Right, and how has it gone so far this season for you guys? You got any good placings you wanna brag about a little bit? Now's the good time, Kyle.
Absolutely, yeah. Just so I actually started a little bit late when the Tau Codex just came out. I just didn't want anything to do with it because I preferred the old Codex, and I just saw how powerful Indirect was. I was like, well, I'll wait until it dies down a bit. My top placings have been Newcastle, 3rd place. That was the first time I podiumed at one of Zach's majors. And then I continued it and terrorizing NID players everywhere. And I was known as the NID Crusher. Isn't that right, Dom? A couple of memes were going on about our group with me with a shotgun taking a Maliceptor around the shed and shooting it in the head. And it was just like, who needs guns when you got rail guns? And then I went third, I think it was 5th place at Goonhammer, their major, and those were roughly at the same time. And then I finished 3rd place in the prestigious event that Zach ran, the Invitationals, where we went down to London, down in Wembley, and it was all the players that went undefeated. Some of them were wildcards, and Dom was there as well, and a few of us, and I came 3rd place at that. So I'm trying to beat that 3rd place.
Can't get rid of it.
I can't get rid of it. It's like I was like to say a bronze stain, but that could be taken a wrong way. But yeah, it's definitely something that I'm kind of working on. And you know, when you go to these majors, especially when you get into day 2, sometimes in day 1, you're going against top level players, and it can be a real foot slog at times, especially with the meta constantly changing, should I say? So, yeah, no, those are my claim to fame for this season, and I think it's just been a slow start because I didn't start, and then with Tau going through so many changes, I think a lot of people are not looking to me, but being inspired by some of the lists that I'm creating. And it's good to have a very deep codex, and it's helping.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite a good run considering all the meta changes recently. There's been quite a few and quite significant ones. So well done.
I love a challenge.
Yeah.
Good. How about you, Dom? How did you manage at events after dropping Drukhari?
Well, I started off strong with Drukhari, and that's why I kind of dropped them, because I went to 2 tournaments, one at Hellstorm Wargaming and one down in Hertfordshire, Luton, 2 RTTs, which I won both of those with Drukhari. And then after that, I was kind of like bouncing around. There's in the UK, there's a great tournament called Priority Orders down in Brighton. Went down there, played Tau, managed to beat the Tau there, Kyle.
It wasn't me.
Yeah. But came 3rd then. Then I think my last outing with the Drukhari was at the Zach's Coventry team tournament, and our team was what was the name? Broken Metatarsals, which was a great name, which was led by my friend Lewis and new VT member Andrew. So he was playing Tau. He was playing Tau then.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. And so we ended up only losing to Team England in the final, but so ended up coming 2nd. But I played Manny in the last game, and I actually didn't think it was a bad matchup. He was playing obviously the dreaded Void Weavers, the 9 of them. But I still to this day I think if I had gone 2nd, I would have won. But it was because I went 1st, I had to reveal my entire army. And yeah, he just kind of picked me apart, which is a bit sad. But he still misplaced his Shadow Seer, and I managed to one-shot him with some Hellions, which I was very, very, very proud of. And that was one of his secondaries just gone. Yeah, so after Drukhari, then I bounced around with Harlequins. That's when I won another RTT, and then went to Birmingham, only losing to Vic when he was playing the another dreaded list. I wasn't using Void Weavers. I was against it. I was like, no, it's going to get nerfed. I want to play Harlequins a bit longer. And I was playing dark Harlequins when everyone was playing light. And Vic was running the Eldar Madness. What was it? The Master Shots.
He had Masterful Shots. I lost against that. I was against Vic. He mixed basically the Harlequins with the horrible Eldar Hail of Doom stuff. And it was like, great.
Yeah, it was pretty savage. But yeah, so I came 18th at the Super Major then, which was pretty decent. And then yeah, I've just been on like a yeah, I think the last one I went to was the Chaos one, which I ended up playing for the final again, and just losing to Bile, which then made me switch to Bile from Drukhari. So yeah, my mate Lewis beat me in the final, and so that confirmed my my new selection of army as chaos. And if you can't beat them, join them.
Join them.
And
Yeah.
already had a creative bar sitting there ready to go. I just didn't believe they were good, and then I saw how good they were. Yeah, that's what it was. So yeah, I've basically been bouncing around, annoyingly like you, Carl, third places, but not at super majors. That's at GTs and things like that. So
yeah, just not counting the little RTTs that I go to in the Yorkshire area and just absolutely club seals. Yeah, let's not count those. I got first place at an 8-man RTT. Way. no, look at no, yeah, like you. I think the Coventry one that you mentioned, the team ones, was the first time I actually took the new Tau Codex, and I was like Farsight, and I was like, oh, this is still horrendous. I don't like it. But yeah, that Coventry one was good. I think we lost to Dice Down 2. And then went straight into Dice Down 1. And it was like, oh, come on.
oh, come on.
Oh, come on. But I beat Vic in a Town Mirror when I was going second. And that one, I was just like...
That's some redemption right there.
Yeah, well, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to place these Crute Hounds 31 away from your broadsides and use my pre-game move back. And he was like, oh, we're going to do exactly what you just did. I was like, God damn it. I'm going to place my stealth suits here. Well, I'm also going to place my stealth suits here. Oh, for God's sake.
Copy the Town Master.
No, fix it. It was just these odds where you know you're going a good player when you instantly pick up on their tactics and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's copy each other, shall we?
Yeah.
What a passionate game that must have been.
Yeah. Oh, it was great for me and Vic. Everyone else was like, boring.
Yeah.
Let's how dweebs knock each other out.
Nerds.
And then League of Votan walks past. And it's like that meme, when that guy's walking with his girlfriend. He looks over and looks at another guy. He's like, ooh, that's how all Tau players are looking at Leagues of Votan right now.
All right, lovely stuff. So, what about the LGT itself? So, how many of those have you been to? Let's start with Dom this time around.
Last year was my first LGT because I've only really been into competitive 40k for must be just before lockdown, because I loved Apocalypse and I loved kind of playing fluffy games. And then I played a competitive game with my mate Lewis, and he used to be part of D6 Evolution, and he absolutely battered me. And I was just like, I didn't know models could move like this. I didn't know they moved an extra here and an extra here in the fight phase. And then he basically was just like, yeah, he kind of peeled back the curtains, and I saw the competitive sun come through. And then I was like, oh, this is Warhammer. Oh dear. And then ever since then, I've just been just hooked, absolutely hooked. And so I've only ever been to one LGT, but which was last year, and I don't even know where I came last year. I only lost one game, and that was to Alex Harrison, which was just a meh game. So hopefully I get a redemption against that eventually. But so one for me, this will be number 2, and I just hope to do better than whatever my placing was last year. I would love to come top 50 minimum, but that's asking a lot, I know, because you've got to win a lot of games, but I'm pretty sure I can. So we'll just see how we go. Just take every game one game at a time.
Sure. And what about the Invitational? Is that your first time at the Invitational?
Yeah, first time at the Invitational this year, but I like Carl, we did the Invitational a few weeks back, and so I'm super excited for it, because it's just such a high level event with people who are going to it, because you've got all the big names there, and minus a few, but you've got a mix of some really top players, and it's a gamble. Because it's not like if you go into a local meta or there's 4 or 5 amazing players going to this GT or major or whatever, and you can kind of gauge and tech what they're going to do. But this time the meta's so vast, no one really knows what anyone's going to bring, so they kind of just bring whatever their best choice sandwich of the day is. And I actually hate my list that I've submitted, because I submitted it, looked at it for a week, and I was just like, I can make this so much better. So I did for the main event. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a big laugh, and it's going to be nice to just like see friends and like play some really like high level competitive gaming. And yeah, it's going to be a good start to the LGT weekend, because this is the big deal. The LGT is like a big event, and if none of you have been to the LGT before, and you haven't,
big cheese.
Yeah, it's insane how good it is. Like I came away from it last year being like, oh, that was a lot of Warhammer and a lot of good Warhammer. And so, do you know what one of my favorite things is at LGT is to see the armies on display and see all of the crazy conversions people do. And it's one of my favorite things. Like at the Invitational, there was a painting Invitational at the same time when we were playing, and they had like a fluffy campaign going on. But there was a Creations of Bile army, which was the whole, or all of the bases were like a surgeon's floor, and they were like bloodstained, and all of the Marines, all of the conversions that he'd done, it just looked like this crazy army. It almost looked like a Forge World, like Blood Bowl army. It was just so different to anything I've seen before, and he ended up getting a medal for it, which is really good. But no, there's always some mental armies at the LGT, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the pics from that Beyond the Battle Ready, was it, the event? It's just insane, seriously. And you have to appreciate that side of the hobby as well. Kyle, what about your history with the LGT?
I had hair before my first LGT. Only kidding. No, my first LGT was the one where the internet was full of rage and hate about the poor terrain. I'm just going to leave it at that. And I've had the luxury of going to every one since and seeing the evolution of the UK, well, the creation of UKTC, the expansion that Zach has done. He's done an amazing hobby for the justice to the community, and I've been on everyone since, regardless of that bad year. So it's been a real delight seeing it grow, and not just in quantity of players, but in the quality. I think every year has been a success. And so one of my things, like Dom, one thing I really look forward to is walking into the Lee Athletic Centre on that first day, and you can it's almost like going to a festival. You hear the sounds, the atmosphere, everybody's super excited, like kids at Christmas. And you walk in there, you smell it, you smell the lack of deodorant in the air, the just gaming atmosphere, and you meet good friends, people that you haven't seen, and it was a staple of every year. You'd meet everybody that you've connected with over every event. So for me, I've like I said, I've done it every year, seen lots and lots of different metas and different horrible things that are just entering. And I think it's the staple of just, if you have an idea for a filthy list, this is the event to bring it to.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also because the thing is that I like is that was the case, but now it's almost like, because of the quantity of players, you actually have to change your list, and we'll go on to like lists later on, but you have to kind of go with a little bit more of a balanced approach, because you don't quite know what you're going to go against, and you can't quite get away with some absolute skew list, apart from Manny's Get Racked list, which he is taking yet again. But for me, really excited. Can't wait to try out this new balanced / filth list that I've got. And it's just filth. Oh, yeah, okay, let's call it what it is. It's just filth, but I've got a little bit of balance in my eyes, but everyone else is like, nah. So yeah, LGT, I think the last one was probably one of the staples of my starting success, because Tau were in a really bad spot last season, but I managed to create this list that was just genius, if I may say so, but also it held up against all the meta. And I know it's a bit of a self-plug, but hey, I deserve it. I was going 4-1 draw at events and people were like, Tau? Wait, how am I losing against Tau? It was because it just proves that players skill versus a codex and play is far more valuable than just the ability to have a brand new codex. And I really kind of wanted to run with that and show people that you can play an underdog and still win with superior tactics and a solid game plan. And that's always been my motto, regardless of army, focus on what you can do, not what you're up against, and perfect your game. And luckily I'm in a position with a deep codex, so I can apply both this year.
Yeah, surely the LGT is the place to be, if any, for 40k events, and it does seem like a lot of people are going, almost 1,000 attendees, and you know, everyone who's doing any bit of content also seems to be going. So as you will also see on, we've got a couple more interviews coming up, so this really feels like everyone's going to be there. Right, shall we go into the lists then? I guess it's time to do a bit of that. Kyle, you've already been revealing, you sound really tempted to just start talking about it. So what is in that balance/filth towel thingies?
So, yeah, I'll just with a little bit of a background with some of the lists that I've been playing with. I've always been a very keen player to focus on a balanced approach, having a foundation to your list and then just having a couple of elements that you can swap out depending on what the meta dictates. And that's always been my kind of style, very defensive, very kind of, look, I've got these as many tools in the tool bags to deal with as many options that get thrown my way. But recently, I decided just to take off the press Defcon 4 and then just kind of go full aggro lists with everything of triple tide, double bombers, the whole lot. Every tool that can fit in the box, go. And that's what I took to Invitational. I took 2 bombers, a long strike hammerhead, crisis team, 2 riptides, 30 Kroot, and miscellaneous stuff. And then I thought, no, I can't do it. I can't fit more. I can't fit more in. That's the limit. And then 3 minutes to midnight, when I was at a pub in Yorkshire, I thought, I got the last of the Summer Warhammer event. I reckon I can do it. A little part of my brain went, you can do it. Managed just to drop it, a battalion to 2 patrols, drop a unit of Kroot, drop a second hammerhead, and managed to put triple tide. So it was double bomber, triple tide, long strike, crisis team, commander, ethereal, and I was just like, awesome. And do you know what? It was powerful. I was bored. I was really bored. And so this list, I've kind of gone for a little bit of, well, double of everything almost. So it's XP8 Commander, Exemplar of the Monk Car, to choose a Crisis Core unit to have 4 rerolls to wound within 9 or 12, depending on the tactical philosophy I choose. That's just a really good, ace in the hole when I need it. He's got your plasma, cyclic, burst cannon, special burst cannon to ignore wound caps and feel no pain, just to have a little bit of tools versus Catans and Gazgul and bloody Abaddon. Not that it does anything to Abaddon, but hey, I look for those cheeky ones that you roll and you save, and it should be all right. And he's got an EM Scrambler, which is a relic which I've always advocated, which is no setup within 12. I was using that all the time against Necrons, Thousand Suns, anything with turn 1 deep strike. And now that demons have jumped into the meta, it's even more, a necessity, because demons with their
more relevant.
Yeah, it's definitely more relevant.
Are quite all right into Tau, so might be
yeah,
useful.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, my tech with the burst cannon on him as well is to tackle those demons a little bit as well. Ethereal, normal stuff. He's got Sensor Stone, Feel No Pain for Crisis Core. He's got extra CP on a 2+ relic, so those are relatively going off every turn. And he's got Exemplar of Kion, which is pivotal for the list. Long Strike, I've tested it out by giving him the 3 bonus victory. Again, a demon's tech just to give a crisis suit unit auto wound, 6s to hit auto wound, which will just get through Bellicors -1 to wound on burst cannons, because then I'll be wounding on 6s, but it kind of gets around that. Then I've gone 2 breaches. My love of my breaches is strong. 2 breaches, 2 Delfish, a unit of 10 Kroot, crisis team, 2 marker drones, 4 crisis suits, so it totals 6 for R&D potential, and they've got double plasma, burst cannon, target lock, just to kind of negate armor, contempt, and cover bullshit, which we all love. And then I've got 2 units of 4 Kroot hounds, staple, woof woof dogs, go and do stuff, screen for me, sit backs, do objectives, do actions, hell, do whatever you want. Your 24 points of just pure gold. And then I've gone for my next favorite, which is double Riptide. They're armed very specifically for multi-tracker, so any units of 6 or more, I get exploding 6s, and it stacks with Kion. So against your 10 chosen, your 10 Terminators, I go pew pew pew, more shots, thank you very much. And then it's got target lock, so ignore cover. Again, gets around armor contempt, and velocity tracker because there's lots of things still flying in the meta. One of them's got the heavy burst cannon, so that's a utility pick for just dealing with hordes or just basically units of 5 marines. And then the other one's got the iron, and the iron's key for that flat 3/4 damage if I overcharge, which 9 times out of 10 I do. And the key thing here is that the 2 Riptides and the Crisis team, my thought process, and when I did really well at Leeds, is that I can have 3 of my damage dealing units all firing and fading because the Riptides have the 2d6 Nova boost. So that's 3 units that I was always going to be doing consistent damage. Hiding, shooting, hiding, turn 3, hello. Shall we play the game now? And I get double explosions and absolutely cripple you. And then I've got the famous 2 Sunsharp bombers because they're cheap. I mean, they're appropriately pointed, so GW, please don't touch them. So the bombers, if you don't know what they are, they're flying monstrosities. They got 12 strength 7/strength 8, AP 2, damage 1/damage 2. They got a free Markalite, and they get 2 missile pods, even though 1 comes with it, and it says you may upgrade it to have another one for free. So it's 4 strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage. And they've got 2 Seeker missiles at strength 9, AP 3, damage 2d3, and a free Markalite on each base. Their bombing run can be done every turn. So, you know, you fly over, you do up to 10d6 mortals against normal units. Again, against units, let's say 10, you roll 10d6. Against monsters or vehicles, you do 6d6, and on 4 pluses, you take mortal wounds. So as you can see, that output gives Tau a little bit of alpha, and with the example of the Kion being able to redeploy 1 unit if you're in Montcart, 3 if you're in Kion, allows you to be aggressive with your bombers, and if you don't go first, and the opponent can easily take them out because they are paper planes, the T6, 4 up save, 12 wounds, you can just redeploy them into strategic reserve for free. So there's play there, just being like, pow, am I going first? I'm going to bomb you. If I don't, I can strat reserve them. And the good thing is about the bombers, if you fly them off the board, they go into ongoing reserve, so you can choose to bring them in when you want. And I've mentioned the amount of shots they got, but you imagine that when they're in Kion exploding 6s in turn 3, 5s in turn 4, and 4s in turn 5. So you have to deal with them. Otherwise, they are absolutely wrecking face. So my list, and obviously there's 2 Devilfish with the breaches. So my list is very balanced. It's got utility to do alpha, it's got utility to fire and fade, and it's also got those breaches that can threaten primary game and get me my R&Ds very easily. Now, I know there's talks on Tau forums. I'm sick and tired of telling people aerospace targeting is a trap. It is a trap. You want to use your objective grabbers to take objectives. The game has a primary for a reason. So putting your stuff on the corners of the board away from the primary seems a bit counterintuitive. There is only one archetype list that does aerospace very well, and it's run by my good friend Brian Sept. It's the Farsight Enclaves with more than 2 cold stars, or 2 cold stars, 3 cold stars. That is the only list where aerospace is a respectable pick. The rest of it, I think, is a trap. So yeah, my list has got the tools to achieve my primaries, knock the primaries down to the opponent, and do my R&D comfortably and decisive action, and then whatever third pick is relevant to the army that I'm playing. So solid primary plan, solid secondary plan, solid shooting, and yeah, it's as Dom said, it's nice and friendly and not horrendous at all. So yeah, that's my list.
Okay, well, hopefully GW actually does do something about those planes. But
No, Leagues of Votan are coming out. It's fine. They'll ignore the planes.
I also wonder when some of the more weird statistics will surface, like how many bombers to Tau players. Will it be a 2-to-1 ratio?
Well, this is the thing. There was an interesting talk on a forum that I was reading that the win percentage is both held up by bombers and pulled down by people not having bombers. So it's kind of keeping them at a kind of level peg, because people that are trying to get bombers can't get them because the other Tau players keep buying them. So it's like it's a constant battle of like high win percentage, 48, 54, and it's all that middle ground of a mixture between people that have bombers and people that don't.
Yeah.
So
over here in Poland, Tau players are also looking for bombers, and someone who actually has them usually goes, yeah, sure, I'll sell it to you for 200 quid. Make that 300 then.
Well,
So,
Piper, that person who Piper makes models, that one, she's done her own design for Sunshot Bombers, so people are buying them from her. So people are like building their own and like makeshift. It's going to be like a case where you'll see, like, you know, the Orc players that used to make their own vehicles that are like plasticard. You're gonna have these town players be like, sod it, I'm gonna make that plasticard. A poor man's bomber.
yeah, I mean, somehow you have to manage, right? That was really insightful, so thank you for that. And it really does sound like you thought it all out. You mentioned some meta threats and how to counter them. So good luck to you. Hope it all works exactly in the way you theorized it. Dom, you've mentioned you've got 2 lists.
Yeah, I've got 2. One sucks and one's good.
Right, let's start with the one that sucks then, and then you can tell us how you've improved it later.
It's super obvious how I've improved it when I tell you the main thing in the next list. But okay, so this is the list which I was just like, so I came back from Invitational and I was like, you know what my list lacked? It lacked OBSEC. So let's just go full tilt into OBSEC. And so at the Invitational, I took Croatian as a bar because I was just like, it's a great army. My mate Lewis was banging on about how good it was. Then I played him in the final. I lost to him. I was like, cool, Baal's next for the Invitational, because it was literally 2 weeks after my the final loss. So I was like, cool, let's just get like 5 or 6 playtest games in and let's just go. So the first thing I do when I look at Baal list, right? So everyone's taken a Baden, right? Chaos, everyone's taken a Baden. So I don't take a Baden. And this is not why it sucks, okay? It's because he can't score your secondary, which is the Specimens of the Spider. So if you want a Baden being a beat stick and just absolutely yeeting across the board and then just cutting everything apart and destroying half an army, you're actually going to lose points because he's doing that. You need creators of Baal units to score those points. And that's why he's not on my list, because I personally don't think he works with the list archetype I want to make for Baal. And I look, there's some really good hero hammer Baal lists where they've got double Lord of Discordance, the big demon prince, and a Baden hiding behind like a wall of like chosen terminators, all this sort of stuff. It's all right. You guys do that. I'm coming from a very like elf background where everything's MSU. And I'm used to just being all over the place and being super fast. So I put that mindset into Chaos. Still plays very well, because I only lost 1 game at the Invitational, which was to James Marsden, who's a good friend of mine, and he played his Catan list, which it just hammered me like with mortals. And it was a very cagey game because I have a Demon Prince which can one-shot Catans, and so I was basically keeping him terrain, being like, come on, you know you want to come over here. But what he ended up doing was just waiting and basically I ran out of OBSEC by the time he then came forward, which gave him like a double turn of 12. And so I said to myself, right, I didn't have enough because I only had 3 units of OBSEC, and I was like, no, we need more. So the list, I'll stop rambling because I like to chat. The list is I've got a Demon Prince of Wings, and he's got the Twisted Regeneration Warlord trait, which basically means that he comes back to life on the 2+ when he dies. Really cool. He's also got Death Hex to get rid of inbuns, because I was thinking never having Catans again. So Death Hex went in. Then he's got the Golok, whatever it's called, the demon weapon, which basically ignores phase cap, and he's there to one-shot Abaddons, to one-shot Catans, to one-shot like any Crisis commander he likes. And he's got the Hellforged sword, which is really good damage. But the reason why it's so good, because what he does is if you activate his demon weapon, he just rolls to hit and auto wounds, and then it ignores phase cap. And it's AP3, 3 damage, super durable. So super damaging, which is really good. Then I've got a Dark Apostle. Every Chaos list needs a Dark Apostle, and of course he's got Illusionary Supplication, which is Harlequins. So he can give 1 unit the Harlequins buff, which is it can only be hit on 4, and there's no rerolls. I mean, Tau don't care for that anyway. So next we have a Lord Discordant, and I found from when I was at the Invitational that I built him quite defensively. I gave him 5 up for no pain, I gave him +1 to his armor save, all this sort of stuff, 4 up in bun, and he just wasn't killy enough. And I played the mirror match against double Chosen, and he basically just was in combat with Chosen. Chosen were doing nothing to him, but then he wasn't doing anything to Chosen. What I've done, I've gone for the killy one. What I've given him, I've given him the Gorgon Hate again, so it's the +1 armor save and 4 up in bun. But what I've done this time, I've given him Flames of Spite, which means he can reroll his wounds, and also he does mortals and 6s. So loads of attacks. It also works in his flamer as well, so you can get some nice cheeky mortals off that. Then the meat of the list, which is a cursed cultist. They're really good. They can't do actions, but they come back to life, and they're pretty cheap for what they do, because they're basically like I guess they're kind of like plague bearers. They just kind of stick around and then come back to life. All this sort of like Necron movement shenanigan, which is really good. Then got to have your boys. Got the cultists in there. And then I've got 2 squads of Legionnaires, one with Marcus Sinesh and Baleful Tome, and he's got Delightful Agonies to put on the Chosen squad, and that just gives them a 5 up for no pain. Then I've got a Mark of Khorne unit, and they are very underrated, by the way. Mark of Khorne Legionnaires are fantastic. They went toe-to-toe with Possessed for 2 rounds of combat, and we were just like cracking each other, because he's -2 OP, 2 damage. I'm at -2 OP, but I have almost the exact same amount of attacks and strength as a Possessed, just not 2 damage. So they're really good as Obsec as well. But then this is the bit I don't like, and I wish I didn't do it. But I've gone for 10 Khorne Legionnaires. So Bile gives you +1 strength, Khorne gives you +1 strength. I've got the Archon in there, so all their chain swords have are extra AP. So they're strength 6 chain swords at AP -2, and then the Sergeant's got the Black Mace, which is the one where if you fail a save, all the damage spills over, kind of like a railgun from the new Votan. Then the elites, I've gone for possessed. So 3 units possessed on big bases, because that's what they have now. I still am yet to find my other bases for the
7-man possessed, right? Or
no, they're just 5-mans. So we got 3 5-man possessed squads, and I literally got no idea where their bases are. Then we go into the big threat in the list, which is the Chosen. I say it's the big threat. It's just like a black hole of, you're not going to kill it unless you put your whole army into it. It's called the Chosen. So the reason why they're kind of ridiculous is because they've got the -1 to wound relic on them. Then I'll give them trans hit, no rerolls, and I'm going to give them a 5 up for no pain as well. So they're really juicy. And people like to take Terminators, but for the same price, you can get like 2 units of Cultists and Chosen for the price of Terminators. All you get is a better save. Like, I prefer the Chosen. They're very, very good, and their bonus is when they kill something, they get exploding 6s, and it's just very, very good. Then my favorite units in the entire Chaos book are the Warp Talons. They are serious threat to everyone who plays them. No one thinks they're good. No one. And then they go in and
they are good.
Wreck
everything. They are very good.
Very good, very good, especially in Bile with the extra movement, fight on death. Oh, that's what my army does. It fights on death, which is great. So that's that. So it's basically loads of Legionnaires as Obsec, loads of Obsec, then killy characters, big unit Chosen to smash face, and then loads of fast units and Possessed and Warp Talons, which are just going to be thrown at you. Very MSU style, with a big brick in the middle, which is fine, because that's a bit like how I used to play Drukhari, where you have your big units of Talos, your Grotesque, everything in the middle, and then all the fast units going around the outsides. So I like it. The thing is, it's just not as good as my main list. That's the thing. I keep looking at it being like, oh, but my main list, which is just better.
So, okay, let me guess. You've dropped the 10-man unit of Legionnaires.
Yes.
What else could you have dropped?
He'll put in a single spawn.
Right, literally the change, all the changes, right? I've gone for 20 Chosen, and they're just ridiculous. So each Chosen, right, has 3 wounds. They have armor contempt. They're going to be on cover. You just can't shift that many bodies in 2 turns before they all hit. And with 20 chosen, I've still got 10 possessed. I've still got a spawn. Still got like 10 warp talons. Then I've still got an obscene amount of obsec. But yes, the main list is the exact same Demon Prince, exact same Dark Apostle, exact same Lord of Scorn. I've got the Accursed Cultists. I've got another squad of cultists. I've got the Slanesh Legionnaires. I've got the Khorne Legionnaires. Drop the unit possessed. So I've only got 2 units possessed, and I dropped the Legionnaires, and that gave me the exact amount of points to get an entire new unit chosen. So one unit's going to be minus 1 to wound, and the other one's going to be and 5 up for pain, and then the other one's going to be trans hit. So it's 2 huge units which are going to be in cover the entire time, they're going to be in your face. The best thing about this is the Khorne chosen at AP 4, which is super good, and they're going to be strength 7. So they go up. So they're going to go up to knights, and they're just going to be like, "Come on, bro, let's go." And it's basically a bully list. It's like, if you like, the things it will struggle against is Tau. Like, it will struggle against Tau because it has just loads of firepower, and what it wants to do is just throw itself at you and just hope you can't hold on. Because even if you can spend all your CPs interrupting and all this sort of stuff, that's great. I'm still going to fight you. I'm still going to fight on death. And there's like strats with Slanesh. If you try and pull away, I'll just chase you. I'll literally run you down, or I'll tag the rest of your army before it moves. So there's a lot of tricks that go with it, and I'm super chuffed with that. And I played against my mate Matt on the weekend, who's going to the LGT as well, and he's a really good AdMech player. And he's running Rider, which is the combat AdMech, and he was just like, I can't get away from it, even though I want to be in it. And so what he decided to do is like the Tau players, he's bringing bombers and flyers because he needs something that can just go around the outsides. Just even though it doesn't have the most efficient shooting over the game, it will just pick units up.
I think it's something to be said though about your warp talons, and I played a very similar list. I think you've gone full on obsec. When I went to the invitation with yourself, I had that really close game with Creations of Bio. Was that I won 87, 86. I did make a few mistakes. It was the first time going against Creations of Bio, but yeah, it was that threat overload, and I think you're right in saying that your bad matchup is Tau, but with the amount of chosen and the obsec that you've got and everything, you can just go, here's everything, deal with it. So it can be proper swingy with all that, because if I do, and I will, chew through that unit of 10, but if you've got everything else pressurizing the other stuff like objectives and flanks, it forces the issue. So I think you've definitely got playing to Tau. It is a difficult uphill struggle, my fellow bearded butter boy, but you've definitely got the tools to deal with it if you play a perfect game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you can really get ahead on the primary against Tau because of all the pressure you put on them.
Yeah.
I think warp talents are underestimated, especially I think in ward bearers they're brilliant because you get reroll hits, reroll wounds on the unit without spending any CPs, psychic powers, whatever. So it's just great to have such an efficient standalone piece of meat grinding through your enemies.
Yeah, I would say one last thing about the list as well. I did make a tiny little change. Instead of the +1 save for the Lord of Scorn, for 1 turn and 1 turn only in 1 fight phase, I can do phase cap. So I can charge into a massive unit of Terminators, clean half of them up, and then go, I only take 3 wounds. So it's a nice bit of trade piece. It's a really nice trade piece as well. But I still all the mortals, and it also gives me an extra D3 attacks, which is good.
Here's a question, Dom, and I'm sure you have got it in list. The Demon Prince, he gets back up, right? If he dies.
He does, yeah.
Now, me and my opponent, when that Creations of Bio, we had a discussion afterwards, and one clever play that he missed, and I was hoping he wouldn't do, was against Tau. As long as you don't have the Killy Commander in combat, he put his unit 10 chosen on the center objective, so it was a 5 objective mission, one in the center, 4 dotted around. I was like, why did you put the unit 10 chosen on there for me to shoot? I know you were banking on not being killed, but you could have just put the demon prince on the center objective and gone, okay, I done my warp ritual, got my primary point. Oh, I died from all the shooting. Great, cool, back up, got that, and you haven't given away unit 10 chosen. Yeah. So I'd be expecting someone of your own stature, my friends, to be doing tricks like that. So there's no point. There's no point getting rid of an entire unit 10 when you can just go demon prince, go on, die once, get back up, and then retreat behind the unit. So it gives you that extra turn of being able to hold your resources in. And I think if you did that against Tau, that is a really good play, and I would definitely struggle. And if we play each other, please don't do it.
Yeah, I think it's too late for that.
Oops, can you cut that bit out? Can you just
like yeah, so even though like those people who like play like Crash's Bar, all this sort of thing, and all the other chaos lists, the one thing you need to realize is that like your characters do die, and there's a lot of assets that people have where, like, especially against like Thousand Stones, they can just one-shot characters if you misplay them. So the reason why it is I do like this other list where I've got 20 chosen, 10 possessed, all these warp talons, and a sea of obsec, is I can hide the characters, and I don't have to worry about misplacing them because they're all so fast and they're just so well protected. I'm pretty confident that you won't be able to wipe a massive unit and then the character in the same turn, which is kind of like the list archetype. And one of my mates, Lewis, has got a very similar list to this, but he's gone for a Baden and all the other Killy Discordants and everything like that. But yeah, it's definitely a more bully style list, and it is focused on the primary, because I did gamble on Manny bringing a Sea of Obsec, and I was just like, I'm going to need something if I do come up against him to kind of go up against it. And I actually think this list would do pretty well into Manny's list, if I'm honest, because the sheer number of shots and attacks it has at the correct strength characteristic is good. It's just, can I get through 150 racks? Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Only one way to find out.
There is, yeah.
All right, so we've talked about lists, but I have to ask this question because the LGT, if you add in the Invitational, that's potentially 4 days of 14 games. That is loads. I mean, I sometimes go to GTs and after 5 rounds, I've really had enough. So don't really want to imagine doing 14 rounds. So how do you guys prepare for an event like that? Because you really have to think about the physical and mental toll it can take on you. It really is almost sports at this point, from the perspective of the fatigue you might be under. So have you got any tips?
Yeah. Don't do the Invitationals, do a Vanguard Tactics workshop, and you can find us on Friday and we'll help you out with all your gaming needs. No, that's what I'm doing, because I was like, man, that's 40 hours plus a 40k. And I did get invited to the Invitations, but like sadly I had other arrangements because I want to do the workshop because it's a passion of mine. But I would have done it if I hadn't. My top tips, it's going to sound like a broken record, and you hear it all the time. I'm not your mother, but water, paracetamol are your best friend. Food, snacks, you name it. You've got to do it because, look, you're not lifting weights, you're not doing a physical, but you are mentally. The amount of decisions that you're having to make, the amount of thought process you have to put into your list, the prep for it, the looking at the pack, looking at your potential meta that you're going against, that's even before you roll dice. And then you've got the actual nerves going into your round 1, thinking, I hope I don't get this. You've got all the kind of pressure that you're having, because especially if you're wanting to do well, or at least, potentially podium, or just genuinely get points. For those people that aren't, it's still a strenuous, it's a biggest tournament. You're going to go against some of the top players. You're going to learn loads. So just the pressure on your brain to learn as you're playing. So my only, I suppose, advice is that pace yourself. We're all going to have a good time and drink and stuff, but you can't go into it having a couple of nights out on the lash and perform. It's just not going to happen. You genuinely have to drink loads of water, have snacks, and make sure that you're just pacing yourself. Even if it's things like, I saw the one player at the Invitationals, he brought his own mat to stand on. and takes his
Oh,
shoes
yeah, I
off,
saw that,
just to have comfort on his feet. These little comfort things, you know, just taking breaks where you can, that all help you in the long run. It might seem strange being told to take a break, you know, or do this, but actually it adds up. If you, it really adds up, and especially Dom, who's going to be doing potentially, let's say theoretically, if you do all of the games, man, that's what is it? You got invitations. It can be how many games?
5.
5, and then potentially is it 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10.
That's wow. Yeah.
Someone's gonna do it though. There's some unlucky sod with
That's
a crack in the
45
bottom
hours.
left with a beautiful beard's gonna do it.
That's 45 hours of 40k. Like,
Yeah.
you know, though, I think it was the 40k in 40 hours lot that they did it and did it for charity. And that is strenuous because you're up 24/7. But this effectively, you know, you'll finish your tournament, you'll go and get food, you'll be knackered, you'll go back, you should be going to sleep, but actually what you'll be doing is asking all your mates, what do I do against this list? What do I do against this list? What do I do? Sending in WhatsApp chats. You'll be constantly switched on, so it's impossible to switch off. So just learn sometimes, I think it's best to let your brain work out the stuff on its own subconsciously rather than constantly thinking and overthinking, because you'll just burn yourself out. So prep, pace yourself, snacks, water, and a couple of cheeky beers if you've had a rough round, or a shot of tequila, whatever your poison is, you know. So yeah, that's my advice. But yeah, it's definitely a tough run. Right, you, Dom?
Me. Well, to be fair, like I found it. I always find tournaments really like strenuous on my legs, because I'm a big guy. I'm like nearly 6'5", and I struggle because I'm constantly leaning over the board. I'm hunched all day, but the backs of my legs after a tournament are just shot. So you need to make sure you just sit down as much as you can. And also another thing, idiot proof the entire tournament. Like literally print out all of the deployments, and then just pencil in where you deploy, and then just make sure you know that when you come to table, you go, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here, and don't deploy what he's doing. Just get in your own head. Don't get like worried about what they're doing. Just stick to your game plan, all like that. And like I said, like Carl said, like make sure you're really hydrated. Make sure you got some caffeine in you just to keep you going, and don't over caffeine, and then you get in the evening game like
wired.
I know, I crashed hard one time, and I just had a relentless, and then started drinking some cokes, and then by game 3 or 4 in the day, I was shot. But yeah, like another thing, like just stay positive as well. Don't get in your own head if you start losing games and playing badly. Like, just keep positive. At the end of the day, it's just a game, right? We're just playing toy soldiers. It doesn't really matter that much, does it? Unless you're going for like the big tournament points that you need to win your faction, and you've placed a bet at a betting shop on yourself. Like, just stay positive. Like, you're gonna make so many good friends going into this. Like, the amount of friends that I've made going into tournaments, and I pride myself on being just like a friendly, happy gamer, but I still play at a top level. And the way to do it is just find common ground with your opponent. You don't have to be enemies as soon as you get across the table from each other, because you never know. You could just meet a very good friend of yours that you've never met before, and then you instantly get on as soon as you break down the barrier of, oh my god, is this guy going to beat me, sort of thing. Relax. It doesn't have to be a stressful event. Maybe get stressed if you start to win all your games and then you start panicking, but just chill out, relax, just be friendly with them. They'll be friendly to you. Not everyone's a dickhead. It's fine. I find that positivity in on the tabletop is like the most important thing. Even if like your rolls don't get away, it's fine. It's a dice game. It's completely random-ish, and you just need to just chill, and you'll be fine.
I think you made a good point. As I say, we're very similar, Dom. Not in our beards, well, obviously in our beards, but our way of I think it's the communication before the game. I've always prided myself in just having that chat saying, "Hey, we're both here to roll some dice. We're gonna have a great game, but let's just go over a few kind of, not ground rules as such, 'cause that sounds too firm, but it's just like, how do you like to play? There's some expectations, and just taking that minute out just to get to know the person. Because remember, you're going to rush to your table. You want to set everything up. You got a time, a clock gonna happen. Just take 2 minutes to get to know your opponent first. Because if you create that kind of social connection, then, and understanding that you're both on the same level, then the game's going to be more enjoyable, right? And a lot of people forget that, because everyone's in it to win it, regardless of whether you're trying to play competitive or just it's an enjoyable competitive game. So it's just saying, look, we're both in it to win it, we both want to have a fun game, let's make that happen together. And I think that is a key thing, and I've always really enjoyed those games. We've all had that one game that we've hated, and you're just like, I don't want to be here, and you feel the tension and you try to repair it, but once the damage has been done, it's very hard. So sometimes if something does happen at the tabletop where you're not happy with, just speak up and say, hey, look, can we just take a break a second and just repair what's happened. And 9 times out of 10 you'll bump fists and you'll be like, all right, let's go. And for those people that don't, then that's my motto of being tough on the behavior, nice on the person. Don't let people walk over you, but by all means, stick to your guns, and always leave knowing that you've done the best that you can to repair any bad situations. Because let's be fair, we are playing toy soldiers, like you said, but sometimes it does get a little bit heated, right?
Not in my games. Easy. No, but another thing is just make sure that your opponent knows your intent the entire game, because like there's obviously gray areas of like, okay, if someone asks you a question of, can I deep strike here, this sort of thing, and then you like blasedly like measure it and go, yeah, it's fine, and then when it comes down to it, actually you can't, but then you've already said, and there's a lot of like interactions like that where you just need to be a bit more honest about everything rather than just blasé say, yeah, fine. Make sure he actually can. And because that sort of relationship you will develop with your opponent as the game goes on, as long as you're both playing a very honest game and there's no funny business going on. And another thing that everyone should do when they're measuring out, put dice down. Easy enough. Everyone's got dice. Put down, then that's how far things will move, and then you don't get the over moving, you don't get under moving. You know exactly where everything needs to go, and you just need to not be in the situations where people could maybe get annoyed or cause any problems, because you want to be very clear with every intent you do, just so there's no fights. Because like there was a live stream the other day where there was very loud, people like they misheard each other, and they both thought it was two sides of an argument, but they both thought they're both on the same page, and everyone was really awkward. The judge had to come in, and it was a bit like, well, it's his turn, he said this, but I said this. It's none of this. Just make sure everyone's clear, because those situations are very awkward, and it's no fault of your own if he mishears, that's on him. But really, you got to you can also help him by making sure that they fully understand what's going on, because you don't want to gotcha people. Gotcha ham is a horrible thing, and you should always be an honest gamer and just let people know what's happening, and just warn them if they really want to commit this nasty thing can happen to them. So it's all about being kind of like a good human, I guess. you just don't want to be that guy, and
don't want to be that asshat.
Yeah, once you get a rep, it's so hard to get rid of it. So just stay positive, keep to your mindset, and just have fun. Just have a great time. You're gonna meet loads of friends. Like me and Carl, we're already your friends. Like, yeah, you're gonna come say hi to us, and we're gonna be like, "Hey, man."
Hey, man. And another thing as well is like, one thing I always say is like, one table, 2 opponents, 2 armies, 4 hands. Yeah, I always say to them, look, in my turn, I'm done. I'm not moving stuff, or I shouldn't be. Tap play, I don't charge. I don't, all that stuff. But I'm like, look, I've got 2 pairs of hands. If you want, I got a pair of hands. If you want to, I'll help you. You just tell me what you want to do, and guess how much time you actually save if you both get involved with each other. You could save 15 minutes in a game by just helping each other, and there's no issues with time. You just want to finish a game to its natural conclusion and help out where you can. And that is something that I love doing. If opponent says no, I'd like to do it myself, that's no problem. I'm just offering to say, hey, look, we can do however you like it. But I really do find that, you know, if someone's running rack spam, I might be like, oh, okay, you know what, my back might not want to help you out here. Sorry, Manny, but my back's already buggered from all these tournaments, and I'm getting old now. So, but no, the principle is still the same. Help each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is what we always underline here on the channel, you know, just to be a gentleman. Sportsmanship is of the utter priority. And yeah, also remember to stay hydrated, like you guys said, and stay away from the bookies before the event. All right. We usually do this small thing where guests can come in and plug or advertise whatever they do, but you guys definitely did not need the encouragement so far. But if there's anything else you want to mention, then please go ahead.
Yeah.
I think, me and Dom, obviously we both represent Vanguard Tactics, and we're both coaches at Vanguard Tactics. So you can go over to our Vanguard Tactics website, and we do offer coaching services and various other things. We do the academies, which is actually a huge success for people that are wanting to join the hobby, or maybe veterans that just want to kind of, tidy up their game plan. So we have a variety of options for all, but I think the main thing is it's a community. So if you want to get involved in a like-minded community like me and Dom have mentioned, that's what we heavily promote. So you can check us out. We're plastered all over social media. You'll see Boxy doing his workouts on Fit for 40K. We don't need to go over that. But at the end of the day, we are a big community, and we're growing. We're adding new top players. We've recently added my good friend and Dom's good friend, Andrew Bourbon, who's a absolute gentleman on the battlefield and a gentleman off the board as well. So we're growing. We're there for you if you should ever need our services, and that's pretty much it. So that's the first time I've probably done a full-on plug, and it doesn't feel great, but it does at the same time. So thank you for that opportunity for me to run my mouth and talk about VT this. And I've not mentioned Tau once, apart from just then.
Yeah,
thanks for that, Carl. And you, Dom, because you're a man of many endeavors.
Oh, you're many. I've got a man of many hats, I think they said, for my invitational little doodle they did, which is Scrivo. So shout out to Scrivo, actually. He's a great illustrator. But yeah, so I've got a YouTube channel called Let's Talk Wargaming, and it basically is like this. It's kind of funny. Like, I just interview people in Warhammer and content creators, and it's because I had a platform where I was speaking on Real Space Raiders, which is a Drukhari podcast, and all I wanted to do was just get this Drukhari going, and then it would never kind of work, because then it would just be us speaking to Drukhari players when we really wanted to speak about our experiences in gaming, painting, all this sort of stuff. So what I've done, it's got a channel called Let's Talk Wargaming, and it's me introducing to the community different like personalities, different hobbyists. So last episode I had James from Siege Studios, who's incredible painter, and he's built a business from the ground up just on his love, which is like wargaming and painting. And he's made a lifetime commitment, and he's made a company that provides us a professional service. And I just wanted to hear what he had to say, and it was a great hour episode, and they're all about an hour, where we've had Adrian from Tabletop Titans, we've had Boxy, we've had him on. He was the first one, but it's basically a YouTube channel where I just want to chat. And there's numerous people around the hobby where I just think, oh, like, Manny, come and have a chat, and we'll have a chat, and then we'll film it and all this sort of stuff, because I'm generally curious about all of these things, and no one really had a channel where they were generally curious about competitive painting. Where did you come from? Where did you go? No joke.
Yeah, I was about to sing that, then you put it in my head.
And I just pure curiosity, and I was just like, well, no one's doing it, I'll do it. Maybe I'll become the new Joe Rogan of Warhammer. We'll never know. And yeah, so Let's Talk Wargaming. I know I talk a lot. I talk a lot more on this YouTube channel. So if you don't like the chat, fair enough. If you like the chat, come check it out.
Quite fitting though, Dom, because you did one. Speaking of the LGT, you did an interview with Zach, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so Zach came on the podcast / YouTube channel, and we just spoke origins of his amazing tournament scene that he's done. So that's on there if you want to go check it out. We've had loads of painters as well. It's just people you know, but maybe you just want to hear what they have to say. And so also shout out to Real Splish Raiders. That's the Chikari podcast that I'm also on. And that's kind of me. I mean, I can talk more if you want about plugs, but I just don't know where to stop. But yes, that's Let's Talk Wargaming and Real Splish Raiders.
All right, thanks for that, and thanks to both of you for coming in. So this was another episode of the Road to LGT on Contact Lost. If you like our content, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, and whatever else you can think of on YouTube. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and almost any platform you can actually think of. Our guests today were the Butter Bros from VT, and you can meet all of us at the LGT over the next weekend. So see you there, everyone.
See you
Thanks
later.
for coming in, guys. It was a real blast.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Right. Bye, everyone.